All right, we'll kick off. For those that don't know me, my name is Astrid Groves and I'm the General Manager of Channels, Alliances and Operations at Schneider Electric. I'm also the founder of the Sustainability Tech Coalition and I sit on the AI delegation for the Climate Leaders Coalition. What that means is I know a lot about sustainability and seem to talk about it quite often. If you're running a business or if you're in charge of managing one, there is nothing greater than having green on your P&L. It's achieved through rigorous strategizing, planning, if you're Schneider Electric, maybe you're replanning, execution, and lots of sales sprints. But the bottom line can also be grown through savings. Sustainability is not a good to have. Sustainability is the ticket you have to play in our market in the coming years. Whether social issues or environmental issues, the issues we experience become your financial issues in a business. Organisations need to work collectively to manage resources with centralised government and decentralised action steps. One of my favourite sayings at the moment is all about small actions adding up. And that's, if you don't know the power of a small impact or a small change, you've never spent the night with a mosquito. All consumption has a cost. It's an energy cost and a carbon cost. So I want to talk to you about savings. It's a bit interactive, so you've got to bear with me. You've got two choices. If you choose option one, you go on your hands on your knees. If you're choosing option two, you go on your hands on your head. You're running the business. I'm going to promise you 2 million kilograms of carbon savings over the lifetime, and it's going to cost you about $216,000 more to buy my solution. Who's in? There's not a lot of movement, people. Not a lot of movement. Say it again. Ready? 2 million kilos of carbon reductions. Second option. I'm going to save you $72,240 on your electricity bill every year. That $216K is going to get you 3 years to return on that investment. And my solution is going to be in your environment for 10 years. You don't have to think about it for a decade. Option two. Who's there for option one? Who's there for option two? My man over here, he's in the middle. He's on the fence. Reality is, these are exactly the same things. He's in on all of them. The cost of carbon is an unknown, unfathomable cost. We don't understand what 2 million kilograms looks like. We can't feel it, we can't touch it. But we touch money in our everyday since we're little kids, and we understand the impact and what it means. That perspective matters. When you're making decisions, we need to understand the cost of carbon and the cost of dollars. This is a bit of an example of a comparison of two UPSs on the right-hand side. One of the UPSs was a competitor's UPS. This was a real-life scenario. That UPS has 93.4% efficiency, and we have 95.5% in our SmartUps Ultra. Doesn't really mean a lot when it's in a percentage form. But when I equate that to the energy savings, it's $215 a year per UPS. Just not too exciting if I'm running a business. But when I consider that this customer has 336 sites and that $215 soon adds up to that $72,000, or over a decade, $500,000 that I've just saved you, you're welcome, hands on head people. All of a sudden, that savings means something to us. Hands up if you're in a sales organisation, an IT sales organisation. You're all shy, there's a few of you here. If you're not helping your customers to understand the carbon cost of their decisions, you're not helping them access the money and the resources and the investment that they need in order to drive an outcome. So I want to look at different strategies, really simple strategies that you can do to address the real cost of ownership of your IT infrastructure And remember the mosquito. It doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter what the solution, all of our small decisions add up to a big impact. I want you to think about carbon in two ways. There's our CapEx carbon and there's our OpEx carbon. CapEx carbon is the embodied carbon. You're sitting in a chair. That chair is about 50 kilos of embodied carbon. It takes into consideration what it took to manufacture the chair. It takes into consideration what it took to transport the chair from wherever it is that it was manufactured. And it takes into consideration what it takes to recycle or get rid of the chair in its end of life. That's the captured carbon within your chair. The other captured carbon, let's say your chair was some AI-driven chair and was giving you a lovely massage right about now, is also the energy cost. When I'm consuming energy, I'm consuming carbon. So what's the energy cost and the carbon cost of that energy consumption during the operational expenditure? Also, what if my chair breaks? What if I have to replace my chair? What's the cost of getting a new chair? Because all of a sudden I didn't get my whole life cycle out my chair and now I need another one. What happens when I have to come up with a plan B for you when I've rolled in a couch instead of a chair? Because that's all I had handy. And the cost of rolling in the couch and getting the couch was a lot more carbon. I'm trying to simplify my examples here. But it's about all the flow-on effects of what happens when your captured carbon can't be utilised in its environment. So let's look at that CapEx carbon. Think of embodied carbon as a CapEx, and we can reduce it with the right designs and sustainable design principles. If you were here in the presentation before, Mark DeGara spoke about NVIDIA. Schneider Electric spent a lot of time with our alliances looking at reference designs, looking at how do we create sustainable data centers? How do we create sustainable architecture? The time of inception of your IT infrastructure is often the most simple way to make the right design principles, the right sustainable principles to make an impact on your carbon footprint. Schneider Electric, in collaboration with NVIDIA, Dell, HPE, and all of our others, have built data center reference designs that help you simplify what it means to build a data center sustainably. It talks about the electrical componentry, the mechanical componentry, the IT setup in the workspace, and the type of equipment you need in there. It's sustainable data center design made simple for you. Simplicity is key, and when we're looking at technology, it evolves over time. It moves so fast that right now the only thing stopping AI development is actually the memory wall, because we don't have enough memory investment and new technology happening. Newer technologies can use less resources, less energy, less water, be much more efficient in their impact to the environment. But does the newer replacement of technology actually make the impact that we need? Will we be able to see and retrieve the financial benefits and the carbon benefits of that replacing? If I'm going to chuck out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak, in my old technology and put something in, will it actually make a difference in the long run, a tangible difference to my carbon P&L? They're really hard answers. There's so many variables that go into that. But Schneider as an organisation have designed our trade-off tools to help you work out what's the carbon footprint of my existing data centre? What's the carbon footprint of a micro data centre that might be an alternative? How do I design something and work out and calculate and compare one option to another option to another option? They're easy tools for you to consume and to use. Purposeful partnerships are one of the key things that you can do as an organisation in choosing your vendors. Reality is, I manufacture the equipment, you consume the equipment, which means I'm in the driving seat of making sure that the embodied carbon is at minimal cost to your organisation in the way that I design. If you think about Schneider as a company, we essentially make lots of different products. Let's take the UPS. So we take raw materials, lithium ion or lead acid out of the ground. We buy them from suppliers. We buy all of those and other componentry from suppliers globally. We manufacture them in some of our manufacturing plants. We ship them all around the world, hopefully to you fine people, and then you'll use them in your environment or in your customer's environment, hopefully for as long as possible. We can make an impact by reducing the raw materials coming out of the ground and increasing the use of recycled componentry, reusable componentry within our products. We can choose suppliers that can track and have a minimum impact on the environment. We can build net zero manufacturing facilities. In fact, Schneider Electric have 7 of World Economic Forum's 14 lighthouse manufacturing plants, the most sustainable manufacturing plants that exist on Earth. And then we can make responsible decisions for you in shipping the goods to Australia or New Zealand or wherever your customer needs them. They're things that we can choose. Choosing purposefully who you partner with can help you to choose people that are looking after our Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions so that we can look after your Scope 3 emissions. So let's talk about OPEX. What can you do to reduce the energy efficiency and the energy costs, carbon energy costs, associated with what it is that you're putting in your environment? First, you can look at renewable energy. Renewables, clean tech, if you don't own the building, it's a little bit harder to do this, but you can negotiate with your landlords, you can negotiate with people within that do own the building to get access to renewables in your environment. You can look at microgrids to increase resilience while decreasing grid loads, ensuring that you're in control of your own resiliency and you're reducing your carbon footprint. You can replace diesel generators. There are other options out there, despite, I'm a Brisbane girl, the hum of diesel generators that I've heard over the last week post the cyclone. You can look at lithium-ion, fuel cells, hydrogen, even modular nuclear cells to be able to support where a diesel generator used to be our only option. You can also look at purchasing power purchasing agreements, banding together with other organisations, pooling your purchasing power to sign on to renewable grid energy. And the last is consider where you're locating. Where your data centre is located, where your IT infrastructure is located, makes a big difference on how sustainable you are, how much energy you have to chuck at it. If you're building in Canberra, you have grid renewables readily available 24/7. If you're building in Tasmania, you have cool and clean air environments to help you with free cooling technology. If you're building in Brisbane, there's plenty of water to go around. Digitisation is key as well. Every bit of data helps to tell a story about what's going on in our environment. If you think about that UPS, the traditional way that we used to deal with UPS infrastructure, the traditional way that we would look after, say, a single-phase environment or an edge environment, is every 3 years, we're going to replace your battery. And every 5 years, we're going to chuck the UPS out and we're going to replace it, because that's what the data used to tell us was the best way to reduce your risk of an outage. We want to keep your business alive. But what if we could make smarter decisions? What if we could have visibility to your sites that would tell us the amount of time that your batteries have cycled, the kind of operating environment, temperature, humidity, dust, the cleanliness of the environment that you're operating in? What if we could tell all the different factors that will play into when your batteries are actually needing replacing, and you can proactively manage those battery replacements so that you're only doing it every 4 years in one site and 2 years in another and managing your risk more effectively? What if we didn't have to roll trucks to go out and try and fix equipment, because we could already look at the data and know what was going on and have someone local look at a fix from a remote perspective? That digitisation and visibility and operationalisation of that is a big energy saving. It's a big area where you can look at trying to reduce the carbon footprint of the what-if scenarios. When a system ages and approaches the end of its useful life, sometimes chucking out the whole thing is not the right answer. Looking at what in the componentry can I replace in order to modernise the infrastructure before I have to chuck out all of that embodied carbon? How do I make what I have more efficient without starting all over again is often the most sustainable option. Our CFOs and our CIOs, who love to see the green on our paper, would often be attracted to options that are pragmatic, investing in improvements on already existing infrastructure. It's less risky, it's less disruptive than a radical change and a radical jump to outsourcing or commissioning a new data centre. Beyond the cost savings that a data centre upgrade, when compared to outsourcing or a new build, other factors might come into play to make an upgrade scenario more attractive. The Australian government has various schemes and programs that enable you to have access to investments and money from the government for green technology, energy efficiency, including new data centre builds. And we've seen that either through the government, through some of our state government programs, as well as through ARENA. I want to remind you of Schneider Electric's commitment to sustainability. We're focused on making your business more sustainable. And we back that claim with over 20 years of dedicated work. This is something that we take pride in. It's something that I take pride in. And it's supported by the first-class teams that you'll see all around you, dressed in green everywhere you go. We're bringing that to the table for you. We want you to engage with us, and we want you to take advantage of all the knowledge and learning that we have.